What is up, everybody, and welcome back to This is the Waypoint, the one show on shared screens where we talk about everything Star Wars. Our host, RumblePack92, unfortunately passed away this last weekend. He went a little too hard, on his 30th. So
Too much
rest in
blue
peace.
milk.
Too much blue milk. But no need to fear because our homie Aaronroots stepping in to replace. He
Hello.
got the cover. We are also joined by Jim Tasty, aka Bret, and on the
Oh,
ones
what's
and
up?
fair enough. And on the ones and twos, we got Alec. How's it going?
Doing good today. Hanging in there.
Doing good. Absolutely, that's what I love to hear. And let's just get right into it. Although Chris is gone, he did send me a transmission, and he just says, "Star Killer was never canon, and will never be canon." But that's a conversation for a tad bit later because I want to jump in, get all your thoughts on this episode. Aaron, give it to me, man. What did you think of episode 4 of Andor?
So I am having a little bit of a hard time with this show, not because it's bad or because the quality is bad by any stretch of the imagination. For me, it's just this is a Star Wars project that is a lot slower of a burn than Star Wars projects we've seen before, and that kind of like it takes me a minute to get into it, and by the time I'm like, oh, okay, let's go, the episode's over. So I'm like, okay, cool. They're building up stuff. Like there's like espionage, there's like infighting with like the Empire. Mon Mothma's up to stuff, and then Cassian is with these people, and they're like, all right, let's go on this mission. End of episode. And I'm like, okay, next episode gonna be tight, probably. That's cool. But I liked this episode. It was fun. There was a lot of like really cool Easter eggs this episode. And a couple of like little implications for stuff, I think, or like references to the past, which were really cool. But I'm excited to see where it's going next.
Okay, I like it. Bret, how did you feel about this episode, man?
I agree with Aaron. I think it definitely feels with the pacing like you can clearly tell this is like this episode definitely had an awkward ending because I was like, oh yeah, they're about to go on this mission, and then credits rolls like, oh, okay, I guess next week. But I liked it. Yeah, I thought. I mean, the references were awesome. Getting to see Genevieve O'Reilly be Mon Mothma again was awesome.
So good.
Seeing like the Imperial Security Bureau for the first time, like on screen. Seeing Coruscant again was great. Like it was a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, I really liked it. It was another great episode.
Fantastic. Alec, give us your thoughts, man.
Yeah, I really couldn't have summed it up much better than these two already have. Like, I really enjoyed this episode after last week's episodes. Just adding to that great, I mean, I should say, who doesn't love a planning or a heist plan, like, sequence?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Like, I happen to be, I was watching this on my lunch break, and I happened to just be on my phone at that point. I'm like, wait. I feel like that was important. I rewound like 2 minutes just so I could, like, hear the plan again. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm glad I definitely did go over that because there was a lot of this whole episode is like there's a lot of talking, a lot of information that was conveyed. And honestly, I was here for all of it.
Yeah, there was definitely a couple of times for me where I had to be like, wait, I gotta hear that again. Like I was a guy in the room who was like, wait, let me make sure I have this plan right.
Right.
But yeah, there was a couple of times where I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been doing the same thing even last week with the first three, and I'm right there with you guys. Like, I like this episode. I'd still say it's kind of like my least favorite so far, and maybe that's just because of the 3-episode punch we had last week. And like, I definitely, given Star Wars shows in the past, I'm now a little hesitant about the pacing because if every other episode is going to be a plan and then we do a cool heist thing, kind of like episode 2 was like, okay, we're building up to these guys going in to get Andor, and then episode 3 was the showdown, and then now we're back to planning something else next thing. And then so I fear that the rest of the show is going to play out like that, but it's also really too early to tell, so I'll wait a couple episodes before I reserve judgment. But even like other than that though, I like just the locales in this. Seeing Coruscant again, I'm a slut for Coruscant. You know,
Right.
one of my favorite Star Wars planets. Even the hills they're at. Like I tweeted Andor spoilers with no context, and I just put up a screenshot of Death Stranding. I like because I love Death
A little
Stranding,
bit,
and
yeah.
I love these hills they're in, and it's
Oh,
really cool.
I got Lord of the Rings vibes from some of the shots they were doing. The aerial shots with the mountains. I was like, oh, that's kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, and it's cool that in this vast, planet, like just planet universe sprawling, um, IP with Star Wars, like we can be like, oh, Hoth is so cool, like great, like all these, Camino, all these different locales. But even then, there's just like shots where you're like, I could actually plan a trip to somewhere like that. I could go off to like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Sweden, Norway. I don't know where these hills
Right.
are, but I could do it, So I really love that aspect. The one thing, lot to get into on this episode. The place where I want to start, because I avoid Star Wars discussion until we get into here, because I want to talk it out with my homies first, with my homies for the homies, and then I'll dissect all the podcasts and stuff like that. I don't know if this was a me thing. Did you guys get vibes that this rebel leader was Skarsgard's daughter?
No, I don't think so. I could definitely see that potentially being the case.
Mhm.
But so far, I think it's just kind of a disgruntled employee. Just like you never tell us anything. This is why everyone hates you.
Right. Right. Because I don't know if this was just my read on it, but he seemed like a little too personally like invested in this like kind of like subsect of the rebellion, and like he's going out of his way to like handpick recruitments for this mission. He's given a down payment of a kyber crystal. God,
Mm-hmm.
like God damn. And then the way they're like, yeah, they're talking to each other. It like the vibe I got from it, like I totally see the disgruntled employee vibe, but I got like a dad who's trying to get on like, the kid's like interest or something. Like he's like, if she's in scouts, he's like, oh, here's a Swiss Army knife. And she's like, Dad, let me do it myself, like kind of like a vibe like that.
Especially that
It's
moment where he's talking to her and then he's like, "Look at me!" Like he snaps at her.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's kind of paternal, I think, in a way.
Right, and, like, the way when they're walking back to base, and she's like, Andor tries to bring him up, I feel like if there wasn't really that deep of a connection, he'd just like, she'd just be like, "Oh, he's like a higher up, like, who cares?" But the way she's like, "We're not talking about him. Like, we're not gonna talk about him. Like, we're not bringing him up." Like, I felt like there was, like, some parental resentment there. I don't know. Brett, any thoughts on all this? What was your read on that?
I didn't pick up on that initially, but I can see it now that you guys talked about it. To me, it was also just, and they can both be true, but um, just his almost like it's just his sense of justice in the same way that Saw Gerrera had it, where he doesn't really care if they live or die as long as they can get the job done.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's when that emotion came out. That's kind of what I just alluded it to, but it could easily be uh, a paternal thing, or it could be both. I mean, but yeah.
Interesting. Let me tell you though, Skarsgård MVP this episode, because drops Andor off for the mission. He goes out to, a rebel, rebel base. Then Skarsgård goes full collector on us, and I was not expecting this. This was fantastic. The wig, everything. What did you
The
guys
wig, the
Legitimate
purple,
transformation. Yeah.
looking like
think? Right?
Magneto in the '90s.
Yes. I thought the point that sold it for me is there's a shot of like from the hallway, like looking into the room he's in, and he's just he like gets into character. He just
He
Yeah.
looks like
just
a little
has that
flamboyant.
smile. He has that smile.
Yes.
Yeah, he put it on. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, I have my costume on, and then it's like uh being in a play. Like you get ready, and then you're like, and then you walk out there. Like it's the final moment where you click into character.
The
Mhm.
flourish.
And that yes, the flourish, the
Right,
finesse,
exactly.
everything. And what a perfect vibe for being back on Coruscant. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my god,
Okay.
I loved it.
Speaking of
Give
Coruscant,
it-
I just like I know we knew this already, but man, just seeing that title card of Coruscant, capital
Mhm.
Yes.
of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And seeing it in a way that we haven't seen before, because usually we see like establishing shots of like the Jedi Temple or a normal building. We saw it from top down this time. So like you're seeing it like straight down, you're seeing all the speeders like flying around. It was just a cool, different way to finally see that planet.
Oh, 100%. Plus with like all the Imperial stuff around there, like I could honestly I could go for more Coruscant. Anytime you want to give me Coruscant, like yes. And like even looking at the what is it called? Why am I blanking on it? The Colin Trevorrow episode 9 like concept where they're supposed to be fighting on
Mhm.
Coruscant. Like I just love Coruscant as a planet, and I know
Yeah.
I'm not like I know I harped on the title cards last week or a couple weeks back for the Rogue One retrospective, but just yeah, when it's Coruscant, dude, when it's Coruscant, there's just something that hits like different about it.
It's the prequel, babies in us.
Yeah,
It
dude.
literally, and so it's dope to be around there, and even our boy Corn Crayon,
Karn,
the Karn. I know
Space Ben Shapiro.
base Space Ben Shapiro. I know we give him a hard time, but it's just because he's playing that character so well, and I
Oh
love
yeah,
like
yeah.
him when he's getting like discharged and he's just going back to just some random apartment that looks like it's on Coruscant. Like it was incredible. It's incredible.
He's going back to his mom's house. I love the scene where they're basically dressing him down. Like the one dude in the middle is like, I didn't have anything to do with this, and they're like, hey, guess what? This guy made you guys lose all your jobs, and like just straight up sold him out in front of everybody. He's like, yeah, this guy, it's all this guy's fault.
Yeah, and I love the character. The acting here is like top notch for me, where he's like holding the tears back, like almost
Mhm.
like you're being like ripped into by your dad because you like did something like terrible, and he's like you're in so much trouble. And you're just like holding these tears.
I
in
want to
because
say something, but I can't.
exactly, Brett. How did you feel about your boy this episode, man?
He took his lumps, so we're gonna, hunker down and rally probably next episode. But I think what was super interesting just from what we got with his mom was it seems like that relationship influenced the way he was. And
Mhm.
so he's like this super zealot for like the Premor Corporation. And so I feel like that was directly because of his mother's upbringing of him. So interesting to see more of that relationship going forward. And then also because he's not like the main character, but they're focusing on him a good amount. I think going forward it'll be interesting to see what he does with can't remember her name, but that ISB lady.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I wonder if their plots are gonna like intertwine just because he's literally just like couch surfing at his mom's place now. So I wonder if she's at an impasse with her ambitions and somehow they can you know combine their efforts to achieve whatever their goal is. So excited to see
now,
yeah where he goes from there.
were you talking about like the blonde in ISB?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay,
her
that
name's
was it.
Deidra. I think.
Yes. So I got the hint. I don't know. To me, for whatever reason, just thought like she's gonna be in the rebellion by the end of the season. I just had
Mhm.
that thought.
Uh,
or
yeah,
feeling.
that was kind of the vibe I got too in that initial like almost boardroom meeting where they're just like giving their reports and stuff like that. But like she just has this like intense like nervous sort of look, like she's almost not supposed to be there. But like her interactions with the rest of these officers like afterwards kind of like really sold it that she's on like here like on the Empire's side. But of course, show about espionage, this could go in like many different ways. But yeah, I loved even her like conflict with that one dude who owns the case, and the fact that she's like, oh no, this is my jurisdiction because of the item that was trying to be transferred. And just even their whole like conversation about you better you know make sure the ladder's sturdy before you try to climb it. Like yeah, I loved all that. I'm a sucker for that kind of like imperial infighting. You know, similar to Krennic and Grath. I'm forgetting the name. Grand
Moff
Tarkin.
Tarkin.
Yep,
Yeah,
Moff
Tarkin.
Tarkin in Rogue One, and so I like that we're still even here getting hints of that at the
And
lower level.
I was just gonna say, you could tell it's real low level because a lot of them only have the 3 blue badges.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And like this is definitely feeling very security level right now, but I love that like I love knowing that there's going to be a time jump somewhere in this show, and so I'm really holding out for that to see where these characters end up like post time jump, right? Cuz like I love Karn. I like, maybe not to the extent of Bret, but I do still think he's very compelling, and like I'm interested to see where he goes. I hope it's not just done with him, at his
Yeah,
mom's place.
he's a very interesting character. I think we're gonna see him join up with the Empire at some point. I think,
Yeah, I can
and
see
if
that.
if not, maybe he'll see that the Empire is a bunch of like douchebags and join the rebellion. But I would really, I when the in the first 3 episodes, I really saw him potentially being in the Empire. I was like, yeah, this guy's like, a gray shirt away.
Mhm.
So, we could see
Literally.
that happening potentially.
Oh yeah. Has the physique for it. Has just, that plays that straight edge character so well. Like I
Yeah,
loved
he's
it.
just
And
missing
like
a British accent.
yeah, literally, and honestly, he's probably better off for it. Let me tell
Yeah.
you. But yeah, no, and I love that like juxtaposition of like, he's going back to this, I don't even know, concrete jungle, space concrete jungle, just this big city versus Andor's back on the next mission. He's his
Yeah.
sort of trajectory and goals so far have all been kind of like, you know, um diminished versus Andor is like now just on these foothills. He's on to the next grand adventure, and that juxtaposition throughout the episode of seeing them plan and Andor recover while this dude's taking a bus back home. I thought that was like very, very well done.
Absolutely.
Yes, and speaking of Andor and his next mission, how do we feel about this operating group of rebels out essentially in the middle of nowhere?
Well, first of all, no wonder these people are so short-handed. They spend all their time taking naps and making model bases. Like, like as cool as that base was, like that was very impressive and very cool. Which also I think
Mhm.
was built by the same guy who took the nap. But yeah,
Yeah.
they seem like cool characters. I mean, they're all kind of like grumpy, but I guess for rightfully so.
Mhm. Any thoughts on it, Brett?
Uh, yeah, I think where we're at with the rebellion, or in terms of just rebellious efforts, um, I think it's interesting with the certain resources they have of uh they have that one, I don't know what rank he was, lieutenant or whatever, like kind of within the empire already, like kind of harkens back to what Cassian said in the first 3 batch of, or I think episode 3, where like at this point in the conflict, like the empire is like too high on their own supply to even like care about that. So this guy can literally just leave his post and just you know scooter bike all the way over to these insurgents. Whereas I'm sure during the actual Civil War, like it wasn't going to be that easy. So just interesting to
Right.
see like little details like that play out. Um, and yeah, like they're trying to be very cautious with their planning because one, they're trying to time it up with that like whatever you want to call it, the lunar star or whatever thing,
Mhm.
and but also because they're cautious and they're nervous and apprehensive because it's they've never done something like this before or of something of this scale. So just cool to see like of a piece of this time, what they're trying to do.
Oh yeah, and I thought it was like great to give them all names names and kind of roles right off the bat too, right? Like help familiarize you with this group of characters before we go in and do the heist. That way, you know, I'm sure they're not all leaving alive, especially if they only have like 9 minutes as an escape time. Uh, I One of the dude napping, the really young guy, looked stupid familiar to me, and I couldn't put my finger on it the entire episode. I was like, is this one of the kids from like Nanny McPhee? Like where do I know this kid from? Like it was bugging me. And then the older one, Brett, you'll get this, looked like an older Chris Martin. Like if Chris Martin was like in Star Wars and a little older and disheveled, like
The
that's
dude that
kind of
wo-
what.
the dude that woke up the guy.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, he was giving off some Chris Martin vibes. Well, just in the face, there was something about it. I was like, this threw me off a tad bit. This is almost too too well. But yeah, no, I loved this group, uh, and I loved how like they weren't entirely necessarily sure of their plan, especially with Andor coming in and being like 9 minutes. Like this is your getaway time in this shuttle. Like this is what you want to do. But like as we were saying earlier too, is that the Empire's so big that even just hitting payroll on this one operation is like it's gonna do some sizable damage, but still be on that low key scale where they can get away with it. Hopefully, we'll find out next week. But
But then
yeah,
they're
no, I thought
also planning
all
on
that was
taking out
great.
the garrison too, along with taking the payroll.
Right. Should have probably rewatched that one. I totally forgot.
Yeah,
I
Should have
don't
done the
think their
rewind.
goal is to fight, but they might
Mhm.
have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that garrison will like definitely get in the
Because
way
they
for
were
sure.
because when the lieutenant guy was showing up, they're like, "Hey, make sure to leave like your gloves and stuff because we're making like our own duplicate uniforms."
Interesting.
Oh man, and my trousers got ripped off by a branch while I was biking to get a McFlurry.
All my clothes are gone. How'd this happen? What?
The swamp
Meanwhile,
rat sucked up my clothes, bro.
took took my boots, and meanwhile, there's just four other Imperial guys all missing, like just all wearing different parts of the costume, and be like, the rest of us gone. I don't know what happened to it.
They're showering
They
and
beat
like
up one guy, and each of the like a group of them beat up one guy, and each of them take a piece of clothing. Like the rest of them are just like the dude wearing the shirt walking down the street with no pants on, just like hello,
Yeah.
like just walking into like a shield generator.
Oh yeah. Some big brain heist plays. Yeah,
The
I'm
person
loving
wearing
that.
the pants is like has the guy wearing the shirt on his shoulders, and just their
big
faces
old
are
trench coat.
exposed in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
I mean, look, if Kenobi can get away with hiding somebody under a trench coat, these guys can get away with
Yeah,
it.
it's true.
Yeah.
I was,
I love. Oh, go for it, Alec.
I was just gonna say, let a man finish his meal before you tell him to like
Yeah.
focus on planning and like look at the plan. Like, come on, like let him finish eating at least.
Can I eat my food?
Yeah, he's like, "Can I
Yeah.
eat, bro?"
Not even
All
done yet,
business.
bro.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that even though it's like all business with them, like they can't all agree on like you know how to execute this plan, and I love that the tension there. Um, the one thing we talked about swearing in Star Wars last week, of course, with the shit, line mentioned. I didn't know how I felt seeing AK-47s in Star Wars. Like I know a lot of the blasters are based on real world weapons, and of course George Lucas like used World War II weapons to make the Stormtrooper blasters way back in the day. But this
Yeah.
just looked like he took the stock off of an
Yeah.
AK-47, and
So
they were just
so it didn't bother me that much because I guess it looked different enough. I don't think that's as egregious as like them using AK-47s in the Halo show. But like you add enough greeblies and stuff to a gun, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. It really it stuck out to me, and even in Battlefront 2, there's like a shotgun
Mhm.
with his side pump, and like I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this is just a sawed off regular shotgun, but like also that's a video game. Seeing it in a
Right.
live action property like this, I was like, okay. But also they're a bunch of like sheep herders too, so I
Yeah.
get it. It was just weird. It was weird.
Yeah, that the gun thing I didn't have a problem with, but like the thing that was like kind of like is like, oh, there's just actual goats. The only difference is they added extra horns, which like, there's some Star Wars like creatures that kind of look very similar to Earth creatures, but it's just like not a whole lot of additional creativity thrown onto those. They're just like, okay, like literally, like if these had horns on them, you could just, all right,
Pokemon
great.
joke. Right. What color is goat milk in the Star Wars universe? We gotta hit the hard hitting questions.
Purple.
This is the waypoint. Purple? You think goat milk's
Purple.
purple?
I'm gonna say purple.
Brett, goat milk
Yeah,
in the Star Wars universe.
I was
What
thinking
color?
like pink or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
All right. Alec?
I like purple. I like that. I never
Purple?
thought of purple. Yeah, cool. I'm the purple train.
What if it looks like when you put like when motor oil hits like the sidewalk after it rains and it's like all rainbowy?
Oh,
Ooh,
maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking maybe yellow. Like
Mhm.
a yellowish, maybe or an orangish tint.
Like
Mhm.
eggnog.
Yeah, exactly.
Mednog.
We already know green comes from the sea with the Last
Mhm.
Jedi. We don't know where blue milk comes from.
Maybe that's where blue milk comes from.
Maybe goat milk's blue. We'll have to find out. Yeah. Also, just to mention that like there are people just like hippies living in the mountain. Like she's talking to Andor and she's like he's like, why? Like, are there regular people out here? And she's like, yeah, just nature loving fucking hippies. Growing space marijuana in these
Yeah,
mountains.
brother.
Like,
Growing
that's my
spice.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
that would be my role if I could live in the Star Wars universe. Honestly, like yeah, just give me a mountainside little hut.
A spice
And
smoker, not trader.
Oh, exactly. A trade goat, but I grow spice and smoke it for myself. Oh my god, I love it. Now, let's get into all the Mom Mothma collector stuff because what like before the show came out, we got word that no, like not a whole lot of Easter eggs, but I feel like contrary to that, we are getting a fair amount. Like it's almost like a if you know
Mhm.
type beat, right? Like it's not like Luke Skywalker showing up at the end of the Mandalorian, or
I was
like
literally about to say that. It's not
Yeah.
like
yeah,
it's in your face Easter egg. It's like
It's real like deep cut stuff sometimes.
mhm.
exactly. And so I thought this was like such a great way to do it, but also have like incorporate it into the story uh with Skarsgård basically being a collector and using his clientele to talk to politicians ranking in the rebellion like Mon Mothma. And I thought it was great. Like
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
this entire everything here was fantastic. What are your thoughts on it, guys?
I hated it.
Really?
No, I loved it.
So go ahead, Brett. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it was just I mean, you already said it. Like just little nods to things that if you know, and so seeing the mural from Lothal of the the father and the brother and the sister or son and daughter.
I totally
I
missed
mean,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing obviously like a armor design, kind of like Star Killer's Sith armor was like
Sith
really
Stalker,
really cool.
yeah.
I didn't even
Yeah,
see that. I need to rewatch it.
Yeah,
wasn't-
it's that pseudo armor in the background with like the big mohawk. There's one in the main office and then there's one in the back office.
yeah, and then it wasn't in the scene, but I mean with the Kyber crystal and they were like a Rakatan uprising. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Knights of the Old
Yeah.
Republic, like
Yeah,
let's go.
yeah.
Like, cute.
Mhm.
That was like what really got me out of my seat. So yeah, just really really cool. Yeah, and it made sense in the context of the story. So it was
Yeah.
perfect.
There's like so I have a list of like a bunch of the Easter eggs that were there. Like Brett said, the Rakata invaders, the Kyber crystal, there's a Keldor breathing mask in there, which could possibly be Platoons, maybe.
Interesting.
There
It's
was
probably got cooked.
Yeah, there was like a set of Mandalorian armor, which I thought was Django's for a minute because it was all silver, but like the
Yeah.
shoulders are different and stuff like that.
Django's
There's like
still alive, so
there's like stone mural things that have like I think like allude to the world between worlds on them. Let's see. There was Sith Stalker / Star Killer armor. There was a Gungan shield. I couldn't tell what the two back ones are, but in the things frozen in carbonite, the one in the foreground was Indy's whip, which I thought was really cool.
Really? Oh my god!
Yeah.
Dude.
Then
That's
in
awesome.
the background during the scene with Skarsgard's character and Mon Mothma, in the background you can see a Jedi and Sith holocron, and right next to it on the right, I think are the Shankara stones from Temple of Doom, but I'm not 100% sure. It was kind of blurry, so I couldn't
Ooh,
tell.
interesting.
But also in early in the episode when Andor is talking to Skarsgard's character, he mentions that he was on Mimban, which is the big battle from Solo.
Ooh, interesting.
Which is really
there
cool.
at the same time, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he entered as a cook, but like Solo was fighting for the Imperials at that time, so they were potentially on opposing sides, which is really cool to think about. Because I heard Mimban, I'm like, wait, where have I heard that before?
That I think wasn't that conflict Imperials versus the Mimbanese though. So
yeah, you're right. It might be.
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, how about like Cassian lying about like his stolen valor, bro? Like
Yeah.
lying about all the stuff he did.
He's like, I was there.
Luthor's
Technically, he
bro,
didn't lie.
You were
He's
like the guy
yeah.
that would heat up the stuff in the microwave,
Yeah.
bro. Like, what do you?
Then you
ran
are there
away.
keeping the milk warm, bro.
Yeah.
Andor goes to like Denny's on Coruscant and he's like, "Yo, you got a veterans discount? Like, come on, man! Like,
You were the
I'm
coffee guy, bro.
yeah, no, I loved all that. There was even a mention of Ryloth in the big boardroom meeting, which like
Oh yeah, the Ryloth boardroom.
Going back to the antiquities, like you saw Kalikori, so like the almost like a totem pole type, the little thing that like Hera had in Rebels, like so you saw.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Super cool.
Yeah. That the mention of Ryloth, which like it's all over Clone Wars and even Bad Batch, and then there's of course mention of Scarif, like
Arval is 6, which 7 is in Mando, so 6 is like just the next one over.
Is that a planet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Arval 7 is where Kuil is.
Or
Baby Yoda is in the first episode.
Okay. No, I had no idea. But even that for me at least, like this is like just I feel like a perfect level of fan service, especially when they've already set the bar so low by being like, yeah, nothing at all, and then it's like, no, I felt like this episode where we were eating with it. Like I was like, this is incredible. Sure, it's no Cad Bane showing up in like,
right,
Fed, but like this is still like fantastic for the like if like crowd. Like this was awesome.
And that's always more fun, I think. Like Cad Bane is like kind of a different thing because he's a fan favorite character that they wove into the story, as opposed to just being like, oh, there's a holocron back there, as opposed to like Force Awakens when like Finn just pulls the training remote out and it's like literally in the audience's face.
Yeah, exactly. No, this was a great way to do it. And shout out Mom Mothma, and even like when she goes back and she's talking to her husband, like, and he's like, oh yeah, you're so boring. I was like,
these people are fun, and it's like, yeah, they're also probably like horrible people.
I want to be this guy, man. I want to be this guy.
His sick blue Jedi robes and like
I want to be
gray samurai
trophy, hair. I want to be the trophy husband where I don't got to do nothing, man.
Bret wants a powerful woman for a wife, and honestly, I respect that.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was trying to say.
Absolutely.
I thought that was a great way to like get into like some more like some deeper political aspects of the current time period we're at in Star Wars, while also just having Mon Mothma be stuck in the middle of it, and she's like, everything that I'm doing, these guys are trying to undo. Like, there's like a lot of like, empathy and like humanity in her politics.
Yeah, right? You can't be inviting these guys to our house. These guys are working for the bad people. Don't sit them near me. It's fine. And I love when the husband's like, "There's rumor that you brought me a gift," and she's like, "I'm taking it back," and he's like, "Yeah, you suck."
Yeah. Brett, did you have
Um,
anything to add there?
oh yeah, like she's talking about like I think the planet is Gorman and how like they're restricting the trade routes, and then like in Rebels, there's like some great catastrophe with Imperial forces on like the Gorman planet or something like that, which causes Mon Mothma to like leave the Imperial Senate and like come out as like a rebel agent, and so just cool little like details like that that build up over time throughout this. This is like the great kind of interconnecting little storytelling bits that you would like to see in this kind of universe. So very cool.
Fantastic. And I think with that we've covered almost everything in the episode. Any final thoughts? Where are we going, Aaron? Anything?
So like I said, this show is a bit of a slow burn, and I guess it kind of has to be if it's going to be 12 episodes every season. But for me, this episode was like the cutscene. Like if it was a video game, this is the cutscene setting up everything. Next week, hopefully, is going to be the actual mission. So we're gonna see them hopefully pull the heist off, or at least start or something, and then we'll see where it goes from there. It was interesting. I liked all of the Easter egg stuff. That's always so much fun when you're watching Star Wars, especially nowadays. But yeah, we're gonna see where it goes. I'm optimistic. It's gonna be fun.
Awesome, Brett.
Yeah, I love the spy elements in this episode where like they're changing out drivers for you and stuff like that. Like when your own like quote unquote like team is like actively sabotaging. Very cool. Excited for I think next episode is going to be a huge action episode. And yeah, I can't wait for Kyle Katarn to reveal himself.
He's actually in the vault. They're gonna get in there and they're gonna be like,
I got
what's this
so
chamber?
Skeletons there.
What's this chamber in the vault? And it's gonna be almost like the pod from Fallen Survivor, and they're
right,
who's in this vault.
Jason Court posted something about it on his Instagram story 8 months ago. So
it's real, man. Alec, final thoughts. Where are we going?
The way this episode ended, I would imagine maybe a quick like training montage, or like kind of like planning, or prepping montage, I guess would be the better phrase. But I think we will be getting to the mission at least, and getting midway through that. Probably some sort of cliffhanger. But man, I can't. When they were talking about those crystals for the eye of whatever, the Aldaria, I think is what that planet was.
Yeah.
Like how they're basically just little crystals, but are explosive. And like, oh, okay, so they're gonna have a crazy set piece for that episode when they're flying through that.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be gorgeous.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you too. I could totally see some team building stuff before the mission, but I hope the majority of the runtime is used on this heist. Next episode, where we go from there, not a clue. After that, maybe we just go on to the next job for a couple more episodes, and we just keep prepping a job, doing a job, prepping a job, doing a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm interested to see what happens. I have no idea what's going to even go on in the like Imperial side, what we're cutting to. Like when we're cutting away from the mission, I don't know if we're going to cut to more Karn, to deeper investigation into this into the black box or whatever that gave her jurisdiction. I'm excited to see that aspect as well as this insane heist. But yeah, no, I thought this was even for in my opinion, the weakest episode in the show. It was still.
You know who's an Imperial person right now?
Oh, great question.
You know who's in the Empire right now in the timeline?
Thrawn.
Oh yes, but
I'm gonna say Crosshair from Bad Batch. He's gonna show up, snipe him.
Kyle.
Kyle. Kyle Morrison.
Totally Kyle from the Amanda Show.
Kyle Bryson, a kid I went to high school with.
Kyle Katarn, man. Kyle Katarn. If it happens, I don't know what I'll do.
Because they brought back Thrawn. They're bringing back. They're gonna bring back all the big fan. Revan was teased and stuff like that. So
yeah, it would have been cool if they would have brought him in for Rogue One though, because wasn't it in like Dark Forces or something like that? He was originally one of the people who stole the Death Star plans or something.
Yeah, but they told that story like a bunch of times in Legends, so I'm glad they
Yeah,
did
that's
it.
true.
Like here, they could do something awesome.
Fair enough. We'll have to find out. But that will do it for us this episode. Bret, aka Jim Tasty here, has a big subathon going on. When you're watching this, this goes up Thursday. It will be Friday, September 30th. So tune into that. Give some subs, play some games, enjoy. As for shared screens, though, we got She-Hulk on the go still. I think that's about to wrap up. We still got that hot D. House of the Dragon. Fucking Bret and crew has been killing it with that. And we got some more media clubs coming your way too. If you like this video, like the video. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. And hit the subscribe button and ring that bell, please. But that will do it for us. And we'll see you at the next This is the Waypoint.